Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the test review meeting tonight. Some housekeeping things. You may have gotten an email from Ryan at the MHSAA today, but just as a reminder, January 4th is the due date to have everything submitted to the MHSAA for postseason consideration. That means entering in your game schedule, both boys and girls, checking your availability for districts, regionals, and other playoff dates, again, for both boys and girls, as well as submitting the test postseason exam for postseason consideration. All of that is due January the 4th. But if you're like me, my recommendation is to not wait and don't delay in that. After we do the test, I will stay on for an extra 5 or 10 minutes and get everybody who maybe doesn't have as much experience doing that. I'll do a quick walkthrough on some of those sections of the MHSAA website. But since I think many of us are experienced with that, I will not do that up front at the beginning of the meeting. Helping tonight is Jim Dorman, who every year he says he's going to be the kinder, gentler Jim Dorman, but then the second week of the basketball season comes rolling around and that goes right out the window. So we are going to get rolling here. I'm going to pause. Does anybody have any questions for those who want to engage? And again, the more the merrier. Is anybody having trouble getting to AHA slides or typing in BB test 23 into the join box? Okay.
Yeah, can you go through one more time how to get to it, Shane?
Absolutely. I'm going to go out of here. So you go to ahaslides.com. Actually, I need to share my screen.
AHA, AHA.
Yep, aha. Let me share my screen. So you go in here, type in ahaslides.com into your web browser, and then here in the little box, you just type in BB test 23 and then click join. And that should take you to this screen. This screen should be popping up. And then we're going to be going through, and you're going to get an opportunity, I believe, on the next screen to type in and join. So now here's an opportunity. You don't have to use your real name. You can use a nickname. Keep it PG-13, please. There's Nolan. All right, glad to have you, Nolan. Oh, a few more joining in. Again, more the merrier. Jump on. Scores are kept, and as a reminder, the faster you answer, the more points you get. But if you answer quickly and wrong, you get no points. So the trick is to answer as quickly as you can, but make sure it's correct. Now, for the tests, for those of you who already gone through the tests that we've posted on our website, and that is on the MHSAA page, the wording of the answers, because there are some character limits on this particular program, might be paraphrased a little bit, but no language has been changed that effectively changes the content of the question. So, all right, so definitely join, and I'm going to give it just another couple seconds. Looks like we're about 14, 15 people. Love it. Again, we got 30 people on. If you're able to, please do join us. But now we'll start, and I believe we're going to go right to the first question. And if you log on late, and if you're like, hey, this looks like a lot of fun, feel free to jump in at any time.
Hey, Shane.
Yes.
Bostwick here. I'm on your screen where it says waiting for players to join, and all these knuckleheads have their names in there, right?
Yep, sure.
And it says start the quiz.
That's for me.
Okay. Now, down here where it says enter your message, is that where I should put a name of some kind?
I think
Or how did
so,
the names how did the names get on there?
Does anybody know how to So in other words, so Dennis, if you're looking at this screen, you might be looking at the Zoom screen. So you want to go to like the web browser or something. Because I honestly have never done it from your point of view. So I don't know what prompt you see to put in your name. Can anybody help?
I'm looking at a screen that says waiting for players to join, ahaslides.com, BB test 23, and a blue icon that says start the quiz that you said you're going to use.
Dennis, you're looking at Shane's screen that is sharing. You have to go to a different window.
Yep.
Where it says view options at the top,
Okay.
click on that and get out of the full screen. And then get back to the where you typed in the AHA slides, a different window.
Oh, I see. You're saying, yeah. All right. Well, I hate somebody in the room, somebody in the meeting's got to be the dumbass, so I'll take it.
Hey, listen,
well,
Dennis,
my
believe
options-
me, 9
All right,
times
from
out
now
of
on,
10,
mute.
there's somebody else that's wondering the same thing. I'm glad you asked the question.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, what
Yeah.
I'm seeing under view options is fit to window, 50%, 100%, 150, request remote control, anecdote, and side by side.
Just say 50%, and that'll take that window down so you can then open up like Google Chrome or something like that.
All right.
All right. Well, and again, if you figure it out and you join a little late, don't worry about it. You can log in, you can join at any time. But I'm going to get the ball rolling. So if we are ready, let's kick it off. Number 1, A1 has the ball for a throw-in and steps over the boundary line prior to releasing the ball, which is not true. Throw-in violation by A1. Team B shall receive a throw-in. Team A shall receive the next alternating possession throw-in. Or D, Team B shall receive the next AP throw-in, which is not true. All right. So, Jim, it looks like most people got this one right. And MHSAA likes to do this. They like to kind of reverse things on us. So the idea is that 3 of those statements must be true and 1 must be negative.
So for the people who did C is the correct answer. And for the people who didn't get it wrong, if you want to look at rule 6-4-5, when is the opportunity for a throw-in lost? And it's lost when the throw-in team violates, which is what happens when there's a violation by stepping over the boundary line prior to releasing the ball.
Yep. So, and when they violate, when do you change the AP error? When it's either legally touched and bound, or when the inbounding team violates and they lose their possession. So that means Team B would get the next alternating possession arrow. All right, let's go to the next one here.
Hey, counselor.
Yes, or no, Jim's the counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, Dwarman,
yeah, what do you need?
we're not taking the test now, right?
No,
No.
no, this
Okay.
is just for funsies.
You got you. All right. I'm with you.
Yeah. So definitely feel free to. All right.
Hey Shane, just real quick, Tom Poma here.
Hey,
Just want
Tom.
sure we've seen people step on the line, and erroneously, some officials will call that as a violation. Remember, the line itself is still out of bounds. It's just a short point.
Right. So imagine a situation where some courts have that big, thick blue line or green line or darker color line going all the way around. And that's the out of bounds line is the big one. That when you're inbounding the ball, the inside edge of that line. It can be a very thin line or a very thick line. It's the inside edge that is the demarcation point for inbounds and outbounds.
Basically, you have to have your foot completely inbounds to be inbounds. Otherwise, you're out of bounds.
Right. And if you step partly on that line and your front part of your foot is inbounds while you're inbounding the ball, that's a violation because you have stepped over the boundary line. All right, everybody ready for the next one? So the answer for the test was number 1. It was letter C. Moving on. Question 2. A1 has the ball in the backcourt for 8 seconds when A1 throws the ball toward the front court, which does not the 10-second count. Sorry here. All of the following cause Team A's 10-second backcourt to end except which? Which one does not end the 10-second count? Which one does not end the 10-second count? Ball bounces on the floor in the front court. Ball touches B2, who is in the front court. Ball touches A2, who is in the front court. Ball crosses over the plane of the division line. Okay. The answer is D. So Jim, this is a good. It seems like most people got this one, but you can imagine a scenario where somebody gets to a 9.5 count, and that guy is just about ready to throw that ball away, or maybe it's a 10-second count, and he's throwing it across the court, and it hasn't touched the front court. That 10-second count's still going, right?
Yeah, the rule for those of you who got it wrong is if you look at 443, the ball location, which a ball which is in flight retains the same location and status as when it was last in contact with a player or the court. So until it touches a player in the front court or bounces in the front court, it's still in the back court.
Yeah. So that means if you're on 9.5, 9 3/4, and that player who's getting trapped 90 feet away from the basket and they're trying to get the ball in the front court and he just lets it go, that count still goes. And you could easily have a 10-second count. All right. Let's see how we did. All right, Gio still in the lead. Blind Mouse, not sure who that is, but nipping on his heels. So that was 2, letter D. This is 3. All the following cause the jump ball to end except which? Which one of these does not end the jump ball? When a jumper tips the ball, when the ball touches a non-jumper, when the ball touches the floor, when the ball touches an official. So which one of these does not end the jump ball? All right. When a jumper tips the ball, that was pretty self-explanatory, but we got a healthy mix of some incorrect answers. Jim, you want to give a rules reference to this one?
Yeah, this is the answer is right in the rule. 428.2 tells you when a jump ball ends, and it ends on any of the answers in B, C, or D.
Yep. Pretty straightforward there. And so that was number 3 on the exam. Letter A is the correct answer. And I really appreciate Jim did the hard work and he found the rules references. The last few tests, they've included the rules reference actually in the question. They didn't for this one. So definitely take the opportunity to jot down those rules references that Jim looked up. And even if you knew the answer, it's always helpful to go and see how the wording is worded exactly.
Hey, Dwarman? Hey, Dwarman?
Yeah.
I looked away for a minute. Why would the jump ball not end when it's tipped?
Just by definition, if you look at the rule, it defines the jump ball continues, till that point in time.
Yeah.
So,
So the kind of the point is you got to draw the line somewhere, because let's say a foul occurs and it's a jump ball, you know, when do you go to set the alternating possession arrow? You know, and you can't, you know, so there's some kind of rules, applications, penalty enforcement applications, and you just have to know kind of what that status is. Once, for example, once the jump ball ends, the tipper can go grab that ball, the guy who is jumping. And so it's important to know exactly when that jump ball ends.
We better stay away from that one, huh?
And I know you don't want to get overtime or a game start off on the wrong foot. All right. Now, number 4 was too long, and that's not on, but we'll talk about that one later. So now we're going to jump to, it says 4 here, but on the screen it's going to say 5. All the following are true of extra periods, except which one? So 3 of these are true. Each team is granted an additional timeout. Unused timeouts are carried over into the extra period. Team fouls are reset to 0. Intermission between extra periods is 1 minute. Which one of these is not true about extra periods? All right, I think a lot of us got this one right. This one looks pretty good. The answer is indeed letter C for number 5 on the exam. So don't make the mistake, if everybody's in the double bonus, everybody's still going to be in the double bonus in the next extra period and every extra period thereafter. Not too much extra to say about that one, I don't think, right, Jim?
No, just rule 5-7 or in 5-11 give you the answer if you want to look it up yourself.
Yeah. All right. Let's see how we doing. Ooh, ooh. We got a knife fight in a phone booth at the top of the leaderboard here. All right, moving on. Number 6 on the exam. A1 is legally guarding B1. Teammate A1 pushes A2 pushes teammate A1 into B1, while B1 is attempting an unsuccessful try. A foul is called. Which is true of the foul? A1 shall be assessed the foul. A2, who did the pushing, shall be assessed the foul. If B1 is in the bonus, B1 will shoot 1-on-1. If B is not in the bonus, team B shall receive a throw-in. Which is true? Ooh. Jim, it looks like we have a good one for you to discuss, and maybe you can start off with the rules reference and kind of explain why A1 would get the foul and not his friend who pushed him into the opponent.
Well, you know, there has to be contact with the opponent. And the person who does the contact is the one who does the illegal contact, even if the teammate is responsible for, you know, A1 losing his balance. Only the person who contacts the opponent can commit a, you know, a contact foul.
And really, when you think about it, you know, a foul, the only time that we're trying to judge, you know, intent is if it's like an intentional foul or something, like grabbing a jersey. Other than that, we aren't really judging, you know, intent. It's who made the actual legal contact. So you can imagine a situation where there's a guy taking a wide open jump shot and one teammate pushes his teammate to say, go guard that guy. And he pushes him a little too hard and it shoves him into the shooter, causing illegal contact.
Yeah, the right of the definition, which is in 4-19-1, a personal foul is a player foul which involves illegal contact with an opponent while the ball is live. So the only one here who illegally contacted an opponent was A1.
All right, that was a good one. Let's see how we're doing here. All right, Adam's still in the lead. Moving on.
Doesn't seem fair, but that's the right answer.
That's it. Question 7 on the exam. After Team A is granted a timeout, player A1 yells at an official while walking to the team's huddle. A1 is assessed a technical foul, which is true of a technical foul. So only one of these is true. Foul is a player substitute technical. Foul is a player technical. Foul is a bench technical. Foul is a class A technical. In high school rules, which one of these is true? All right, I'm going to admit something. When I was taking this exam, just kind of willy-nilly, and I was just going boom, boom, boom real quickly, I initially said the foul is a player substitute technical, and B is the correct answer. It's a player technical, but Jim can maybe kind of talk about where that line is, so to speak.
Yeah, the line is really the definition of who are considered bench personnel versus players, which is Rule 4-34. And where people get confused is during an intermission, someone who was on the court, a player, when the time expires, becomes bench personnel. So between periods, halftime, they're bench personnel, but during a timeout, the 5 players are on the court are still considered players.
Yep. So another example might be where you call a foul and that player who just got a foul is walking by you while you're reporting it, and he says something to you. He's walking to the bench, but he's not yet bench personnel at that time.
Now he would become bench personnel when his substitute enters the game. For instance, if that was his 5th foul and the sub had reported to the table, been beckoned in, now that one person who fouled out is bench personnel. So if he uses the wrong words to you, that is a bench technical, which gets charged to the head coach indirectly, and the head coach would lose his coaching box.
Yep. All right.
That's where that becomes important, basically.
Yeah. So it's
Otherwise,
important.
it doesn't have much, difference.
So it's just important to know where that line is and what that definition is. So Jim, remind us again, what's the rules definition or on that again?
It's 4-34, which defines who players are and who bench personnel are. And, during an intermission, all team members are bench personnel for the purpose of penalizing unsporting behavior.
All right.
But a timeout is not an intermission.
So that was letter B for question 7. Moving on. All right. Nice. Adam's still in the lead. Okay, this is question 8 on the test. A1 is holding the ball on the end line in the backcourt. Team A is granted a timeout, but had no timeouts remaining. How is play resumed after the technical foul free throws for excessive timeouts? So only one of these is true. Team B throw in division line opposite table. Team B throw in division line at the division line table side. C, Team A throw in at the spot of the original throw in. Or D, Team B throw in at the spot of the original throw in. And you know what, Jim? I messed up. When I picked the correct answer, loading everything up, I accidentally selected the wrong answer on the exam and didn't double
Yeah,
check.
A is the correct answer. Any technical foul, it's a division line opposite the table throw-in.
So guess what, everyone? I'm not perfect, and none of us are. So to confirm, number 8 on the exam, letter A is the correct one. The ball is given to Team B at the division line opposite table. In high school, technical fouls the offended team gets the ball opposite the table at division line. So for those of you who answered correctly, my apologies. This is question 9. All the following are true of the replacement of the disqualified player, except which one? So which one of these is not true? Replace the disqualified player in 20 seconds, replace disqualified player in 15 seconds, sound the warning horn with 15 seconds before player is replaced, sound second horn if substitute has not reported in 15 seconds. Which one of these is false? That is correct. Replacing the disqualified player in 20 seconds is false. It's 15 seconds. And Jim, you want to talk about maybe kind of how this rule has evolved over the last 3 seasons and kind of why it has evolved the way it is, and maybe how the flow
I'll have to
changing.
confess that when I just did the test, without looking everything up, I just remembered 20 seconds because that's what it used to be, 20 seconds, and and they changed it to 15. And really what the procedure, what's important to know is the procedure when someone fouls out is you inform the head coach, you tell the timer to sound a horn and count to 15 and sound the horn again. That's the interval for him, the head coach, to replace the player, and it begins after you inform the head coach. After you inform the head coach and the timer, you go tell the player he's fouled out or she's fouled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the back of my mind, I thought it was 20 seconds. Then when I looked up in the rule, which is under the timer's duties in 2-12-5, there's no reference to 20 seconds anymore. It's just 15 seconds is the time to replace a substitute.
Chad wrote in, it takes longer to explain it to the table than it does to replace the player, and he's not wrong. And honestly, I think maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it used to be 1 minute, and sometimes that coach would just, out of spite, take that long to replace the player. And so
But
they
and coaches
really cut it
also,
down.
they also just try to use that interim as a timeout, to coach their player, to gather their team around, get the substitute to get there so he can, put in a player, give him a pep talk or whatever before he has the substitute report. So
Yeah.
cutting it to 15 seconds really is designed to just move the game along, get the sub in, and shoot your free throws or do whatever and keep the game moving.
So for those of us who have been doing it for a while, just know that it's pretty much boom, get the sub in, 15 seconds, cut to the chase. All right. Again, that was number 9, letter A on the test. All right, Adam and Tim and Blind Mouse. Way to go. All right, number 10. This is number 10 on the exam. When a head coach has been ejected, the assistant coach who replaces the head coach shall inherit which technical fouls that were charged to the head coach? Shall he inherit direct technical fouls, indirect technical fouls, none, Class A technical fouls, or Class B technical fouls? Which one does he inherit?
No technical foul. E. I'm sorry, E. Damn.
E, he does not inherit
E.
the technical fouls. Now, does that mean the assistant coach gets to stand up and coach through the coaching box?
No, that the coaching box does not come back to life once the head coach has one technical foul. It's gone, no matter who's coaching the team the rest of the game. And just for some people, this is designed. I mean, there are no such thing as Class A or Class B technical fouls at high school. This is just designed to trip up the people who don't read the rule book and just see what they see on TV watching the college game. Basically. So put those out of your vocabulary, Class A and Class B technicals.
Yeah. And speaking of technicals, Adam's right. I think I'm going to have another administrative technical file here for putting the answer E right in the middle. I'm not sure how that happened. I was doing this too late at night the other day, but at least I selected the correct answer this time on the quiz. Let's see how we're doing here. All right. So that was letter E, number 10 on the exam. So this corresponds to number 12. We're at number 12 on the test. Which of the following results in a violation? A1 dribbles during a throw-in.
11.
A1 dribbles during a free throw. A1 repositions both feet during a free throw. None of the above, or A1 repositions both feet during a designated spot throw-in. Which of the following results in a violation? That's right. None of the above. Looks like most of us got this one right. I think this is one that could maybe trip up somebody who's kind of, brand new perhaps, Jim, but probably not too much to say other
Yeah.
than maybe a rules reference.
Yeah, everyone knows this one. Let's keep going.
Yep. Letter E, number 12. And again, we skipped over number 11, but we'll come back to that after the end. All right. Number 13 on the test. A1 is dribbling in the front court when B1 deflects the ball into Team A's backcourt. When does the 10-second backcourt count begin for Team A? When A2 first touches the ball in the backcourt, when A2 gains control of the ball in the backcourt, when the ball first touches the floor in Team A's backcourt, or when B2 first touches the ball in Team A's backcourt. When does that 10-second count begin again when that ball is deflected by Team B into the backcourt? And it is when the ball first touches the playing court in Team A's backcourt. And I confess, I got this wrong when I first took it without looking up rules references or anything like that. This is one that you might not see very often, might not come into play a lot, but Jim, care to explain and give a rules reference?
Yeah, so the key here is knowing the definition of team control, which I want to say is 412. That's what I wrote down. I'm trying to turn my page to get there. Yeah, so team control doesn't end till a shot is released, the ball is dead, or the other team gets control of the ball. So the ball is still in team control. So your count begins once the ball is in the backcourt. And now we go back to the other rule we talked about the position of the ball is the same as it was when it was last touched by a player or the floor. And so here it's still in the front court until it touches the floor, and it's still in Team A's control. Now, I'll tell you this, practically when I'm officiating, I've never started the account, when the ball hits the floor, because usually there's somewhat of a race to get to the ball, or Team A is going to just touch it. It's going to be an over and back violation. So it's somewhat, I don't know. This is one of these questions that when do you begin to count? Probably not going to come up very often in the game. But I suppose in theory, if it's deflected by B, usually Team A is going to hustle to grab it, and there's not going to be much of a time lag between it hitting the floor and then being touched by a player on Team A.
Yeah.
About the only time you might see is like in a lower level game where it gets knocked into the backcourt and the Team A isn't sure if it's going to be a violation, so they just let it bounce there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just, yeah, it's more important, and it comes down to teaching us the definition of front court and back court status. Yeah, Tim, that's right. It could happen at some of those lower levels, but generally speaking, you might not have to have this fine of a definition, but it's still important to know it. So again, review that one. Jim, what was that again? I think 4-12.
4-12, and it's, 4-12-2, 4-12-3 are team control, and then, whatever that rule is about the ball and position, that's 4-4. Is the ball location when it becomes, when it switches from front court to back court.
All right. So let's see how things are going. All right. Not as many game points on that one. Makes sense. Okay. This is question 14 on the exam. Which of the following shall be nullified when it occurs before the recognition of a correctable error? Point scored, time consumed, fouls committed, or none of these activities shall be nullified. So which of these is true when it occurs before the recognition of a correctable error? And we all love our correctable errors, don't we? All right, good job. So, I mean, basically, Jim, it comes down to is when you break it down, when you have a correctable error, anything that happened before that correctable error, it happened. It still counts. Just focus on fixing the correctable error if it's still
Yeah.
allowable or not, and what you need to do to adjudicate. That's
Now, here's what probably tripped up a couple people on this is they probably thought, well, what if the correctable error was giving unmerited free throws? That's something that passed through my mind at first glance. If you look at the rule, they use a different word, cancel, for those as opposed to nullified. And the rule is 210-5. It talks about those not being nullified, but they distinguish, and they can, unmerited free throws they consider to be canceled, not nullified. So, this question basically uses the language right out of the rule.
All right. So let's see how we're doing here. All right, Adam and Tim starting to pull away, but Blind Mouse is hanging in there. All right, this is question 15 on the test. A6 reports to the table to substitute into the game and is wearing illegal number 6. All the following are true except which? A6 cannot play wearing number 6. If A6 enters the game, a technical foul is charged. If A6 does not enter the game, no technical foul is assessed. Or D, if teammates are wearing illegal numbers as well, a tech is charged for each additional team member that enters the game. Which of these is not true? And I got this one wrong when I first took it. And that is exactly what happened to me. I picked letter A first. The answer is D. And Jim, I turn it over to you to explain it.
Yeah, well, if you look at the rule, D, the penalty under 10-6-4 basically is there's only one technical foul to be given per team for an illegal uniform. And an illegal number is nothing different than any other illegal uniform. For instance, if it has whatever, an improper logo, or, it doesn't have the right name, the name of the school or the nickname of the school or whatever on it, there's no distinction. You won't find anywhere in the rule book that it says that A6 cannot play wearing the number 6. It's not there. but I think the interpretation is because we officials have to give hand signals. That you can't play wearing, the number 6 unless someone happened to have 6 fingers on a hand.
Yeah.
So apparently by NFHS interpretation is true that someone is not allowed to play wearing a number with a with a numeral higher than 5.
Yeah. But if he goes in, it's a technical foul and it would get charged to the head coach. Now, let's say, and this is how we could prevent this, is when we actually go over there and we sign the book, glance at the book. Make sure there's not a 6 or a 7 or an 8 there for somebody's number, or an 18 or a 16. Let's say he's written into the book, Jim, as number 6. And you say, coach, he can't come in as number 6, but he can put on a different jersey number. And the coach says, okay, what would be the penalty then?
Well, he can change jersey numbers, but when you have to change the number in the book, that's a technical foul.
Yep.
Administrative technical, it's not charged to anyone. It doesn't count against the team fouls, doesn't count against the head coach, doesn't count against a player.
So it's a
So-
little bit lesser of a penalty because somebody entering the game with the legal jersey, direct foul to the head coach loses the box. An administrative technical foul, head coach doesn't lose the box.
Now, if you're doing something like, YMCA basketball or rec league, adult rec league, you'll see all sorts of weird numbers, and I'm sure the leagues probably don't care. But in the high school game,
They care.
yeah, enforce it.
So
And
that
there's
was,
one middle school in the area that has some old uniforms like that. I just pretend I'm Sergeant Schultz.
yeah. But sometimes at those middle school or real young age, you just got to do what you got to do. They'll have digits they'll have 3-digit numbers. So that was number 15, letter D.
Shane, this
Yeah.
would be why we want to make sure we check the book prior to 10 minutes, to the 10-minute mark. That way you can tell the coach you got an illegal number and give them an opportunity to change it without penalty.
Right. That's why you go over there. You just don't go over there to chit chat with the timer and scorekeeper. You got some brief duties with the scorebook, and this is a good example of what we could do to prevent it.
And just as a practical advice, I would tell you not to make that 10-minute before or after the 10-minute mark your best call of the night. Lots of things happen. Buses are late. Teams don't get there on time. The official score isn't sitting at the table until 2 minutes before game time. There are a lot of things that can screw up the table. So, I know the rule book says 10 minutes, but consider all the circumstances before you
Yep.
start your game with a technical foul based on that distinction.
And whether you're checking the book at 12 minutes, 10 minutes, 8 minutes, or even 6, 5, or 4 minutes, the point still stands. Still try to check that book if at all possible.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to, I believe, question 16 on the exam. Which of these resulted in a technical foul being assessed to the home team? Game clock does not have tenths of a second display. Color of the padding on the 2 backboards don't match. That offends me. Scoreboard does not display team fouls, or none of these results in a technical foul being assessed to the home team. Which one does not, which one results in a home technical foul? Great. Good call. Most of us got this one right.
Yeah. All I'll say on that is that there is nothing that requires a game clock to have tenths of a second.
Yeah, even though most do. So, all right, so we're moving on. Number 17 on the exam, again, too long to put into the quiz, but we'll come back to it when we're done here. So we're moving on to number 18 on the test. After the game's opening jump ball has been tipped, but before it is controlled by any player, A1 fouls B2. When shall the AP arrow be set to point toward Team A's basket? Immediately after A1 is foul is reported, prior to the ball being put at the disposal of Team B for a throw-in, after the ball has been placed at the disposal of Team A for the throw-in, or D, after Team B's throw-in ends. When do you put the AP arrow pointing to Team A? Okay, bit of a mixed result, but I think most of us got this right. Jim, rules reference and kind of, you know, when do you set that AP arrow and why might it matter?
It's just 4-3 4-3 is the rule to look at. It's the rule's titled same direction of the initial arrow. So it's you know, it's right there. Now, what can happen in the interim before the ball is placed at the disposal of a thrower? You could have a technical foul
On the other team.
On the other team. Or, you know, there are different things that can happen. So that could change who gets, you know, who gets the ball, you know, initially to begin the game. So
yeah. So you don't set that arrow when the guy is you know, if it, let's say it was a flagrant, or you know, well, and it could matter, you know, if you're shooting foul shots or something because it was a flagrant foul, somebody took a cheap shot at the foul. But if it's just a regular personal common foul, after the ball is placed at the disposal of Team B for a throw-in, that's when you switch an arrow. Just like in a regular alternate possession arrow, you have a held ball, arrows pointing to Team A. Once you place the you know, the ball at the disposal of the thrower, you know, that's still not when you switch the arrow. You know, those situations, it's when you initially are setting it. It's when it's at disposal when you set the arrow. All right. So that was 4-3. Good one to review.
that's one thing I tell the officials too on any you know, jump ball to open the game. All the officials, whether it's 2-man or 3-man, should check the arrow to make sure it's set properly after the initial jump ball, or after, if there's a foul before possession, you know, after the initial throw in. It's really the whole crew should be responsible for that.
All right, moving on to number 19. So that was letter C for 18. We're now moving to 19. What is the result when a player makes incidental contact with the net while the ball is on the basket, and that contact with the net has no effect on whether the ball successfully enters the basket or not? No penalty, play shall resume uninterrupted. It's basket interference. It's goaltending. It's a technical foul. Swipe of the net doesn't affect the ball at all, but the ball's on the rim when that swipe of the net occurs. What's the call? Ah, golly, I did it again. Jim, tell me why I clicked the wrong answer and what the correct answer is, please.
Well, the proper call is basket interference. You know, by definition, 4-6-1, basket interference occurs when a player touches the ball or any part of the basket, including the net, while the ball is on or within either basket. So the basket is considered to be the rim and the net.
Yeah.
Now, if the ball's going through, does it really make a big difference whether you call it or not? Well, I suppose it does, because you know, you should the other team's gonna get a throw in.
Yeah. So I got this one wrong originally, and I missed the word on the basket when I was originally reading the question, because my default in my head, when there's that kind of action, a swipe of the net, my default goes to, okay, it's no penalty unless that ball is pretty clearly on the rim. Imagine a scenario where that ball is kind of lipping around on the rim and it's kind of sitting there a little bit, and then a swipe of the net occurs. As opposed to that ball's bouncing, and it kind of bounces up into the air. If it's bouncing like that, and it would be like a split second when that swipe of the net occurs and the ball might be touching in contact with the rim. In those situations, default call is it's no penalty unless that ball is clearly on the rim when that swipe of the net occurs. That's how I officiated in my head.
Yeah, I mean, the ball's got to kind of be like teetering on the rim of whether it goes in or out, not really bouncing. I mean, it's kind of hard to make that split second call as the net touched when a ball, for that brief moment a ball bounces on the rim. But if it's like, spinning and rolling around the rim before it goes in or out, or just teetering on it, then you could have basket interference.
Yeah. All right. Jim, I think rules reference 4-6, I think.
4-6-1 is your basket interference. Nobody said it was goaltending, which often,
Except Shane.
used by that. So really it's just the difference between A and B, and 4-6-1 gives you your answer.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. So now we're moving on to question 20 on the test. Almost done. What is the result if the home team does not have a proper red light or red LED lights mounted on the backboard? No penalty. Team technical, 2 free throws awarded. Administrative technical, 1 free throw awarded. Administrative technical foul, 2 free throws awarded. What is the result if they don't have the red LED lights going around the backboard? Let's see what we got here. Great, because I think if that was a technical foul, and I always tend to lean sometimes towards technical fouls, there would be a lot of technical fouls around here if that was.
Yeah, I can't remember a high school that does have the red LED lights. I mean, most of them don't.
Yeah. So, all right. So not much to say on that one.
It's rule 1-7 is what the requirements are for a backboard.
1-7, question 20, letter A. We're skipping over 21 again, simply because too long. So we're moving on to 22. These last few ones will go pretty quick, I think. All right, a closely guarded count should not be started during a dribble, interrupted dribble, a dribble away from the basket, or all of the above. When should a closely guarded count not be started? Oh my goodness. Why did I screw this up? I'm just messing all things up. The correct answer is B. An interrupted dribble. A closely guarded count should not be started during an interrupted dribble. And what is the definition of an interrupted dribble? I think that's 4-10, because that would be the next question is or 4-12. What is a interrupted dribble?
Hey, Shane,
Yeah.
that question assumes that they're being guarded. Is that correct?
Correct.
It doesn't say that, so we have to assume that the dribbler has a defensive player within 6 feet, right?
Yep, you're right in that for that question to make sense, you have to assume that it is being closely guarded.
Yeah,
Now,
I would say the key here is the definition of closely guarded is in 4-10. It says a closely guarded situation occurs when a player in control of the ball in the team's front court is continuously guarded by an opponent and so forth and so on and so forth. But it's when a player in control of the ball. And if you look at the dribble rule 4-15-5, it defines an interrupted dribble and says there is no player control during an interrupted dribble. So
Yep.
you can't have closely guarded because there's no player control.
and an interrupted dribble occurs when the ball is loose after deflecting off the dribbler or after it momentarily gets away from the dribble.
There is no player control during an interrupted dribble. So you can't start, you can't have a closely guarded situation.
So that was number
No
22
player
on the
control.
exam, letter B. All right, and we moving on. Oh my goodness, that's 3. I was off my game. Goodness gracious. All right, number 23, a situation in which there is a foul by both teams at approximately the same time, but the fouls are not committed by opponents against each other, is known as simultaneous foul, a double foul, multiple fouls, or false multiple fouls. Don't hear it very often, don't see it very often, but it does occur. I had one 2 years ago.
You might be the only person here who's had one.
I got this, it's only because I was looking out of my area. All right. So the answer is yes, correct. I adjudicated it correctly. Letter A, number 23, a simultaneous. What's the difference between a simultaneous and a double foul? What might be a common double foul you would see versus simultaneous foul?
Double foul might be when you have two post players jostling, they kind of give each other a shove at the same time and you're not sure who got who first.
Yep. And so you give
Yeah.
the signal, 2 arms out, double foul.
The definitions are in rule 419 of all the types of fouls. And the thing of double foul is 2 opponents fouling each other. As opposed to simultaneous foul, which, are there are different people involved or
I'm going to make up a situation. Maybe a defender fouls somebody on a 3-point shot. And while that defender is fouling the 3-point shooter, a teammate of the shooter pushes a defender in the back trying to get position. And you have a lead with the foul, and then you have maybe a center or a trail with a foul at approximately the same time. Now, if you guys can't figure out which one came first, if they both happened about the same time, I can imagine that happening.
Yeah, the easiest way, so you don't have to, deal with an irate coach, is to figure out one way that one happened first, even if you really can't tell.
Yeah.
Because the last thing someone wants a coach wants is to find out that 2 of his players are both getting fouls on the same, at the same time.
Yeah. Or one for against each team. Now, in a simultaneous foul or a double foul, how do you resume the play real quick? Let's say it's on a shot when there's no team control.
If it goes in, the the scored upon team has a throw in. If it doesn't count, if there is no goal, it's alternating possession since there's no team control.
Right. So it's a question of when do you have was there team control or no team control? Spot on, Tim. All right. So that was 23, letter A. Moving on to 24 next. A warning to a coach team for misconduct is an administrative procedure by an official, which is recorded in the scorebook by the scorer and reported to the head coach, verbally reported to the other officials on the court, mandatory before giving a technical, or verbally reported to the opponent's head coach. Some of you might not know. My middle name is Bench Warning. Shane Bench Warning buys. That's if I'm in a good mood. All right. The correct answer is A, recorded in the scorebook by the scorer and reported to the head coach, number 24.
Now, I'll tell you, for those who answered B, that's something you should do also. But the rule, the definition is in 448, and yeah, it is recorded in the scorebook by the scorer, reported to the head coach, but it is important that your partners also know what you just called.
While not in the rule book, it is a good mechanic nonetheless. All right. So we're moving on to the last question on the slide set, which is number 25 on the test. By MHSAA adoption, a commemorative / memorial patch may be worn on the undershirt, on the jersey above the neckline, anywhere on the jersey, on the uniform shorts, pants, or skirt. Where may a commemorative memorial patch be worn by MHSAA adoption? I knew this one was one that you all want to know about. And it is letter B, on the jersey above the neckline.
And if you search somewhere on the MHSAA website, you'll find their directive on that. I couldn't find it, but I know it's there somewhere. And that is the correct answer, B. I would just,
Adam won it tonight. Gonna have to put an asterisk next to Adam's victory, though, given all my administrative screw ups, but congratulations nonetheless, Adam. With that said, I'm going to end the slide set. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I just wanted to take a moment to go over those last 4 questions real quick. So going all the way back to number 4, which we didn't cover. When may a team play with fewer than 5 players on the court? I'm not going to read through the answers, but if somebody just wants to unmute and give us the correct answer, when may a team play with fewer than 5 players on the court?
C.
Answer C.
Yep. C, after the game has begun with 5 players on the court, a player has been injured or disqualified and no eligible or able substitute is available on the bench. So there's actually an answer here that's, letter B, it says, and an eligible and able substitute is available on the bench. That kid's got to come in.
so if you watched Hoosiers and
Can't
saw
pull Hoosiers.
not put the sub in that he was pissed at for violating his directives, well, that would not be allowed in a game. If there's an able-bodied sub, he's got to go in.
Yep, got to come in. All right, so letter C was the correct answer for number 4. So we're moving on to number 11. A1 has a throw-in along the end line. A1 throws a pass towards A2, who is located in bounds on the other side of the basket. All of the following result in a violation, except which one? Which one of those scenarios in number 11 does not result in a violation?
A.
Letter A it is. The ball passes through the basket stanchion arms, but does not touch any part of the basket support system before being caught by A2. That's the only one that doesn't result in a violation. And the one that tripped me up a little bit for whatever reason, I just had a brain freeze, was letter D. The ball bounces on the end line before being caught by A2. You have to pass directly inbounds. And so you can imagine a scenario where somebody might try to get around a defender and bounce it out of bounds to a teammate 40 feet away, but that bounce occurs out of bounds. That can't happen. They got to throw it directly inbounds. So letter A, number 11 is the correct answer. Moving on, number 17, all the following are true with regard to the location of a ball in flight, except which one?
D.
D. A throw and pass from A1 that has crossed the boundary line is in bounds is not true. All the following are true. All the other ones are true with regards to the location of the ball in play. And Jim, I'm sorry. What's the rule reference for number 17?
Well, again, you go back to rule 4-4 about the ball location. It's, the ball status and location is where it last touched the player or the floor.
Yeah. And for those who are interested, I do apologize. Number 11 rules references 9-2 was what Jim found, as well as I believe rule 7-1 as well. There's some references in there as well for number 11.
What was
And-
17 again? 17?
Yeah, 17, letter D was the correct answer. Rules reference 4-4. And the last one we didn't have an opportunity to go over was number 21. Team A shows up to pregame warmups with jerseys that has the slogan family on the back of the jersey. Very nice sentiment, but it's on the back of the jersey in the spot typically used for the player's last name. What is the correct course of action for game officials? This one has A through F. Which letter is the correct answer?
A.
F.
Yep. So A is correct, but so is D and so is E, and so F is the correct answer. Allow team A the opportunity to correct it by changing the legal jersey if time permits. Start the game with 2 free throws and the division line throw in for team B. If they don't correct it, team A's head coach will lose the coach box privileges for the entire basketball contest.
And there's a casebook play right on that 3.4.4. That gives you the answer.
So
Hey, Jim,
Yeah,
no uniform violation technicals, none of them could ever be considered administrative. Am I correct?
they're charged to the head coach.
Okay.
One per game per team, charged to the head coach.
yeah, so a book, incorrect numbering in the book is an administrative technical foul, but improper or illegal jerseys goes to the head coach. Important distinction.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we want to be sure to hold the head coach accountable when he needs to be held accountable with illegal jerseys, but the book is administrative technical foul. He would not lose the privileges of the coaching box, but the team would still get a technical foul, and there would be a foul count on the board for the team. All right, everyone, I'm going to keep us all online. For those who want to stay, I'll show everybody who's still here kind of how to do the schedule for those who are maybe newer, and where to go about doing that on the MHSAA website. And who knows, maybe some of us who are have been around for a while, but the new website, and we're doing football and you need a little bit of a navigation, I'm here to help out with that. But Jim, you got any parting thoughts or words before our next meeting?
I'll just tell you, if anyone has any crazy situations that come up during games, or wants a rule interpretation, you don't hesitate to call me, Shane, Rick Massa. Call, text, email. You can look us all up either on the association website or the MHSAA officials directory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or call, or you could call Bob Check. That'll be a pleasant conversation.
There you go. You have to leave a voicemail and say, just get it done. Along those same lines, if there is a play that you would like an interpretation of, like not just your verbal description, but if you would care to share the game and the approximate time of the game that it occurred, we do have an NFHS network logon that we could go look for the game and the play and we could take a look. We don't necessarily, if it was a game you were involved in, we won't necessarily share it with anybody else if you don't want us to. But if you just want us to see us the play, say, hey, Shane, how might you have handled this? Or Jim, let us know. We're happy to give you that feedback. Or if you are given your own film, important to get better is to get film from the school. See yourself on it. How you remember it sometimes isn't necessarily how it looks on film.
Yeah, I see a question here that in the chat, we were asked about, do we need to send a report to the MHSAA on illegal uniforms? You know, if the whole team's uniforms are illegal, then yeah, you send a report. I mean, you play the game, but you send a report. If, for instance, they all say family on them instead of you know, Livonia Stevenson or whatever, you know, school name or the school, you know, mascot nickname, if they say something like that, or, you know, then yeah, you do send a report to the MHSAA, or, you know, they
And
have
why
one of
is
those.
that? Why is that important? Because if somebody said, you know, then a coach or a school can't say, well, no one told us about that. No one gave us a technical foul up to this point. The MHSAA can say, well, wait a second, we got a report right here from, you know, 2 weeks ago, you know. So.
Plus the
good question.
MHSA can put their feet to the fire and say, hey, we're aware of this, take care of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and just as an example, I did a scrimmage on last Sunday, the Sunday before the boys season started, where Catholic Central played Warren Fitzgerald, and Catholic Central was wearing gray when they were the home team, and Warren Fitzgerald had a color on, and the gray, you know, they have that stupid scale about, you know, what percent gray, and it certainly wouldn't be a legal uniform in a game. This was a scrimmage, so we didn't do anything about it. But yeah, I mean, if both teams show up wearing colored uniforms and the home team doesn't have white available, that's, you know, something to report.
Yeah.
You play the game, but you report it.
All right. Any other rules questions, test questions for the good of the group before we let whoever wants to leave, and whoever wants to stay for a tour of the MHSAA website, stay in going
Hey,
once?
Shane,
Oh, yeah.
when would the video be online? We had a game run late, so I joined like 20 minutes late.
Hey, Scott, good hearing from you. Good question. With any luck, I can get it loaded up to YouTube, and I usually try to get it sent out with a link via Constant Contact the next day. Assuming my kids don't, you know, need help with their homework or something, I should be able to do that tonight.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys.
Hey, Shane, I got one quick question
Oh, yeah,
for
Tim,
you.
go ahead.
I had a JV game last week and it was like a 1-point game and I have a foul at the buzzer and the free throws determine whether or not we have overtime or win the game. The varsity team for the visiting team was out, and it's the home team shooting their free throws. They're heckling, but since they weren't with their bench, I couldn't consider them bench personnel, so I just considered them fans and ignored it. And I'm not sure if that was the best thing to do or if that was the only thing I could do since I didn't have rule support to do anything else.
Well,
Were they
now,
on the court or off the court?
They were off the court.
Yeah, they're spectators.
yep. Now, depending upon the severity with which the heckling, you know, that's where that judgment comes in. Can you give them a talk to, like find the head varsity coach, tell the head varsity coach and tell them to knock it off? But if it's, you know, severe enough, I mean, by rule, fans are the responsibility of the home venue. And if really bad things happen from the fans, you know, technical foul could result, but you don't necessarily want to go to that in that kind of a situation because the penalty is really severe. But to your point, how do you just kind of address it without jumping to that that penalty? And depending upon the situation, that's not an easy one. Yeah. All right. Guys, good conversation. I appreciate the scenario and I appreciate everybody who joined in the quiz. For those of you who are leaving, have a good one wherever you're going for your next game. And my screen, I'll start sharing that again and I'll take some tour of the MHSAA website. All right, let's get out of this.
Have a good season, everyone.
Thanks, Jim.
When's our next meeting?
It is January, and actually here, I'll do this real quick. You go to www.metrodetroitathleticofficials.com. Maybe if my website wants to, if my internet wants to work, okay. Meetings and events. Basketball. Wednesday, January 25th. I have it at 6:30 p.m. Depending upon, I'll have to double check my kids' middle school basketball games and stuff, but it is virtual and it's Wednesday, the 25th of January. And again, this is our website, MetroDetroitAthleticOfficials.com. All right. So remember, January 4th is the due date to enter in everything on for the exam, for the schedule, etc. So MHSAA.com, you click here and you enter in your name and your password. After you've done that and you click submit, it'll take you back to this page. You click this button, drop down, click my MHSAA tools. Oh, I must have timed myself out. I'll do this real quick. Good, walk you through everything here. Log in. Okay, that takes you to this screen. My MHSAA, again, not officials, not sports, but my MHSAA. Drop down box. Manage account, that's like password and other things like that. Official services. And here's all your various selections. All right. First one I want to take you to is availability on conflicts. As a reminder, your default is not available. You have to go in and make yourself available if you want to work in any states.
Yeah, Shane has already done this. This screwed up a lot of people in football season. Did not get to work the playoffs because they didn't go and change these to available.
Yep. And for basketball, there's two screens. For boys and for girls, you have to change your availability on each one because if you notice, the dates are different because the playoffs start different weeks. Now, maybe you work at a school district. Maybe you have a kid that goes to a school district and you, due to a conflict of interest, should not be assigned a district or something where that school is. My kid is playing on the freshman team for Bloomfield Hills. I put that in. Probably not a good look if I'm working a varsity game of theirs. So that's how you do it. So remember, by default, you're marked not available. Go in for both boys and girls, mark yourself available. So you go back here, official services now. You can go to, let's do schedule next. All right, same concept. Boys and girls basketball. You got to enter it both for each page, okay? Now I'm going to stick to the girls here because I want to show you something because a lot of people have this question and I remember I asked Jim this. Okay, you only enter in varsity contests, okay? And it's pretty simple. You go down here, you select a date, whatever that date is. It could be a past date. Maybe you forgot to, you haven't entered in your schedule. You can go enter in older schedules. Unfortunately, this website does not sync up with your Arbiter account. So you have to look up your Arbiter and you have to manually transfer things over. It's better than writing it down like the old days. So here, maybe the home team is, I'm going to type in Bloomfield. And you can see Bloomfield schools that have that in, they start to self-populate. I'm going to pick Brother Rice. And then the visitor is Adams. And again, it starts to populate. All right, and you select one. Now, Sometimes the assigner might make quote unquote everybody the ref, and you don't really know who the assigned ref is. It's okay. Just pick one. It's not that big of a deal. If you live in Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, or Detroit, we're zone 3. So you can click zone 3 and save the zone for all of your entries. So you don't have to click 3 every single time. Now, if you're
Really,
wondering,
the purpose of the zone is where they're gonna assign you for the tournament.
right,
You know, if you put in zone 2, then for the tournament, you're gonna get assignments in, you know, Ann Arbor, Monroe, Jackson.
yep.
So that's what the zone is for, where they're gonna assign you for the tournament.
So if you weren't exactly sure where the zones were, there's a hyperlink to where the zones are, but the vast majority of us are going to be zone 3, which is Oakland, Macomb, and Detroit and Wayne. All right, so you've entered all this information in. It's a single game, it's a ref, and I'm going to submit this contest. Watch, it's a fake contest, but I'm going to submit it because this is the girls' game, and you know, Bloomfield Hills Brothers Rice, you know, they don't have a girls' team. So, oops, I made a mistake, or maybe that game gets canceled. You just go here and delete the game. The game got deleted. Well, here's a great example. This is why I pulled up my girls' schedule, is because I have a tournament game assigned to me right now, a MAC tournament game. I don't know who the home team is. I don't know who the visitor team is. If you select out of state and multiple, you don't have to select a team selection. Now, when we get closer to that game, even though it's after the January 4th deadline, I will go in and I will update my schedule. But for right now, if you have one of those kind of tournament varsity games where maybe you know it's at Clarkston, but you don't know who the away team is yet, you can type in the host school, select that, and then keep it as a multiple for the visitor.
Yeah, example would be any of these Christmas tournaments where it's just TBD against TBD. Maybe you're working the Bishop Foley Christmas tournament. You can just put in Bishop Foley as the host and multiple as visitor. Or if you're working the Motor City Roundball Classic, I don't know where that is this year, but you can put, you know, wherever it's going to be played as the host and multiple as the visitor. Just
And
get something in there because all they really care about is the game count.
yep. Now let's say you go in here and maybe the hosts and the visitors get switched around. Well, you can pull up that contest and then you can edit it right here and then resubmit it. I won't do that right now because I don't want to change this, but you could edit and resubmit as well. So we've talked about availability. We talked about submitting your schedule. And again, don't forget to do it for boys and girls, varsity games only. So now for exams, if you had not yet taken this basketball officials exam for postseason, you get 2 cracks at it. There would be a little green arrow here, and then you click that, and then it pulls up another screen where you can make your selections. And back in the day, they would change all the answers around and make it different from the actual PDF, Adobe Acrobat, you know, Word version that you could look at before you actually went in. Now, letter C on the paper copy is letter C on this exam when you actually go into the system and enter it in. I still double check because I'm paranoid like that, but just know that it's the same. And I think that's it as far as your to-do items for January 4th. I don't have anything for basketball, Jim. I don't think there's anything else we got to cover.
Not really.
Biggs.
Well,
Yeah, no.
just check. I mean, Shane's probably written you, and Shram have probably written you 15 emails about checking your MIG status, and this is how you do it, Shane.
Right. You go here to member in good standing. And the reason why it's kind of like it's something you don't have to double check for January 4th because we needed it double checked for December 7th. So you would click member in good standing and you would see who you are in MIGs with. Again, you don't have to be MIGs with Metro Detroit athletic officials if you want to work boys basketball,
Just
but you
some-
have to be MIGs with somebody. And that's how you go about checking it. But full disclosure, that deadline has passed and it was December 7th. So, that's it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Does anybody have any other questions right now? Okay. Everybody, thank you so much again for your commitment and desire to get better and improve. Jim, you want to sign us off?
Hey, just again, have a great season, have a good holiday coming up. And any questions, don't hesitate to call, text, email, whatever.
All right. Everybody have a good one.
Bye.